crop production management. I mean, in the last topic we saw how do we improve the variety of the crop. Now we will see how can we improve the production of crops. Now several practices are followed to increase crop production. There are a variety of ways by which we increase the amount of crop which is getting produced. When we talk of the crop production, it is directly proportional to the inputs. That means the kind of input you give is the kind of output which you will get. Now, when you look at our country, for example, in India, the farmers are involved in agriculture, right? So, they are the ones who are actually giving the inputs. Now, their inputs will again depend upon their financial condition, their purchasing capacity. Now, whatever inputs you want to give, whatever practices you want to follow, you need to spend some money to implement that technology. Right? For example, if you want to put some special chemicals which will help in more crop production, or you want to implement something else which we will talk about in the next few slides. So a farmer's purchasing capacity decides the cropping system and the production practices which he is going to follow. Right? So now there can be three categories of production. One is no cost production. That means the farmer doesn't spend much money for the production. Another one is low cost production. So some amount of money is spent there. And the last one is high cost production. So now depending upon the farmer's purchasing capacity or farmer's financial condition, he has to decide whether he wants to go for no cost production, low cost production or high cost production. Now it is very obvious that as the cost increases, it is basically the inputs are increasing. So when you spend more money, you are actually implementing more, you are implementing better practices, you are implementing better technologies, and as a result, you will be getting better results. Right? So that is why also it is very much important that our farmers should be paid well for whatever they are doing. Because when they are paid well, they will have enough money with them, they will have better purchasing capacity, and that is how they can implement the best practices for crop production. Right? Okay. So now let us see how is crop production management done. So now there are different ways by which crop production management is done. The first one is nutrient management, next is irrigation, and the last one is cropping patterns. So these are the three ways by which crop production management is done. So these are the three techniques by which the amount of crop which is being produced can be increased by a large extent. Now we will discuss about each of them one by one. So let us start with the nutrient management. Now as the name suggests, nutrient. Now as we all know, we all eat food. Why do we eat food? Because to live healthy, right? Sometimes when we fall ill, the doctors say that eat well, eat lots of vegetables, take lot of fruits. Why? Because you will get lot of vitamins and minerals from that. You will be strong. So we need nutrients to be healthy. Similarly, plants also need nutrients to be healthy. So nutrient is a substance that provides nourishment to the plants. Right? So it is not only that nutrient provides nourishment to plants alone, it provides nourishment to animals also. But here we will be talking only about the plant nutrients. So let us see what are the nutrients for a plant. What are the things that a plant need to be healthy? Now, a plant needs 16 nutrients in total. So, what are those nutrients? It's carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum and chlorine. So these are the 16 nutrients which are needed by a plant. So if a plant gets all of these nutrients in proper amounts, then the plant will be healthy. Correct? So now how do plants get these nutrients? Because plants do not move, they do not eat food, right? So how do they get these nutrients? Now when we look at the list of these nutrients, we see that carbon and oxygen, these two things are obtained from air. So when the plants breathe in, they get carbon. So carbon and oxygen can be obtained from air. Again, oxygen and hydrogen is obtained from water. Now what is water? Water is nothing but H2O. So water has lots of hydrogen and oxygen. So plants can get oxygen and hydrogen from water. Now, other than that, these nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. So these are some of the nutrients which plants need in large amounts. They need these few nutrients in large amount, and that is why these are known as macronutrients. Macro means big, because these nutrients are needed in large amounts. The other nutrients like iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, and chlorine, these are known as micronutrients because plants need these nutrients in small amounts. So they need them in small amounts. Right? So these are the nutrients which are needed for by a plant to be healthy. Right? So what do we do in nutrient management? Or why is nutrient management needed at all? Because as we mentioned, okay, I forgot to mention one more thing is, now from where do the plants get all these nutrients? They get them from the soil, right? So now you understand why do you have to water plants every day. Now let us suppose you have a plant at your home. If you keep that plant inside a room and keep the room locked, do you think that the plant will grow? It will not grow, because a plant needs air, water, sunlight, and these nutrients. Correct? So even if you plant it in your house, you make sure that it is either in the balcony or it is in the garden where it can receive air, where it can get sunlight so that it can undergo photosynthesis. Also, the soil on which it is planted, whether the plant will give lot of flowers or it will not give flowers at all, that also depends on the type of soil on which it is planted, right? So and again, most importantly, you have to put water on the plant on a regular basis. So water, air, soil, these are some of the things from which plants obtain its nutrients. So now the question is, when all these things are already there with the plant, air, water, and soil, so why do we need nutrient management at all? That's because we want to get better results, right? We want to increase the crop production. If we do not implement nutrient management, anyways the plants will survive with normal air, water, and soil, but the crop production will be not that great. But if we want to increase the production of the crop to a large extent, so we need to do something extra. So what is that extra which we will do? That extra thing is that we will provide some extra nutrients to the plants. We will ensure that the plant is never running short of the nutrients. So why is nutrient management needed? Because deficiency of nutrients can result in reduced growth. Because if any, see, I spoke about some 16 nutrients. So maybe the soil on which the plant is planted, it has maybe 12 nutrients, but it lacks the remaining 4. So deficiency of these nutrients can result in reduced growth. Okay. It can have adverse effect on reproduction. So if the plants do not reproduce, what will happen? It is something like things will become stagnant. Right? So you will not see flowers on plants, you will not see fruits on plants. So because things are not growing, so everything will become stagnant. More prone to diseases. Now, even in human beings also, if we do not eat properly, what will happen? We do not get the necessary nutrients. Now, when we do not get the necessary nutrients, our body tends to become weak. And when we are weak, we are more prone to catch diseases. When we are very weak, what happens? Even if you go out in cold, you will catch cough. Right? But if you are strong enough, maybe your immune system will be able to fight with the germs that time. So in order to stay healthy, we should eat healthy so that we have all the nutrients. Similarly in plants, if there is a deficiency of any of these nutrients, it can affect their growth, it can affect their reproduction, and it can cause diseases in plants, right? So we do not want all these things. So that is why, what do? We do nutrient management. Now, how do we do nutrient management? We enrich the soil with the nutrients in the form of manure and fertilizers. So these are the two things which actually act as a substitute of the nutrients. So what do? We artificially put extra nutrients in the soil. So we don't know whether the soil is already having the nutrients or not, but from our side we will put these nutrients in the form of manure and fertilizers. Do not worry, I know you must be hearing these names for the first time. So we will discuss about manure and fertilizers in the next 2 slides. So now you understand what is nutrient management. So we are actually